Hello everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel Dentophile. So in this video we shall be learning about cherubism, which is one of the very rare fibrosis lesion of the jaw. So guys, let's start our video with a picture. The picture I have shown here is one of the painting of the Renaissance period. Renaissance period, as most of us know, it was a period of European culture and arts during the beginning of 14th century. So in this painting, we can clearly see two little baby angels with wings. These baby angels are called cherubs. So while looking at them, we can clearly appreciate their chubby cheeks and upwardly gazing eyeball. So a term cherubism has been used to describe the patient having similar facial features with these cherubs. So as a result, a term cherubism has evolved. So what is cherubism? Cherubism, it is an autosomal dominant inherited fibroosseous lesion of the jaw which is characterized by bilaterally symmetrical enlargement of jaw, usually lower jaw. So the cherubism, it is a fibroosseous lesion. It means here the normal bone is replaced by large amount of abnormal fibrous tissue. So as I have said already, the name cherubism was given to this condition because of similar appearance of individuals suffering from this condition to plum-cheeked little angels in the paintings of Renaissance, as I have shown earlier. So the condition, it was first described by Jones in the year 1933 when he found the first four cases of cherubism in the same family and termed it as a cherubism in order to describe the clinical appearance of the patient. So now, moving on to the genetics behind the cherubism. Cherubism, it is an extremely rare condition. Since only 300 cases of cherubism has been reported so far, the majority of which are males. However, it is still not clear why the males tend to express the disease more frequently than the females. The condition is inherited as an autosomal dominant trait. So it means only one copy of altered gene in each cell is sufficient to express the disease itself. So here the mutation in SS3BP2 gene on chromosome number 4p16.3 are reported in 75% of the cases. So while in the remaining cases, the genetic cause of the condition is still unknown. As we all know, the genes, they are located within chromosomes. So here the chromosome number 4p16.3, it represents the specific location of this SS3BP2 gene. So now before beginning, let me make you clear about how genes are mapped into the chromosome. So as you all know, each human chromosome, it has a short arm P and a long arm Q, which is separated by a central portion called centromere. The end portion of chromosomes, they are called telomeres. So here each arm of chromosome is divided into various regions called bands, which can be seen using a electron microscope under a special staining. So these bands, these are labeled as 1, 2, 3, which are counting from centromere towards the telomere portion. So while looking at further high resolution, the subbands can be seen within each band. So the subband are numbered in the similar way from centromere portion towards the telomere portion. So in each subband, there are further subband which are also counted in the similar way. So here the exact location of the gene SS3BP2 is the short arm of chromosome number 4 on first band, sixth subband and third subband. So as I have already mentioned, in cherubism, the mutation in SS3BP2 gene has been observed in 75% of the cases. So as you all know, the genes, these are the basic physical and functional unit of heredity. So it means these genes, they act as instruction for the synthesis of various molecules like proteins in the body. So likewise, this SS3BP2 gene, it is also responsible for the synthesis of various proteins in the body. So these proteins which are synthesized under the influence of this SH3BP2 gene, they are responsible for the regulation of signaling pathways between the cells. So studies have suggested that these proteins, they are responsible for the activation of immunoeffector cells like macrophages and B lymphocyte cells in the body. So normally these immunoeffector cells, they get activated in the body only during the act of inflammatory response. Furthermore, these proteins, they are also responsible for the synthesis or activation of osteoclast cells in the body. So now when this SH3BP2 gene gets mutated, then the protein will be produced in abnormally large amount. So as a result, there will be increased signaling pathways in between the cells. So due to which the immunoeffector cells and the osteoclast cells get activated. So the immunoeffector cells like macrophages and B lymphocytes, when they get activated, then the cytokine production will be more. So when the cytokine is produced in abnormally large amount, then there will be more inflammatory process going on within the jaws. Furthermore, there is increased production of osteoclast cells in the bone, which is responsible for the increased bone loss. So the inflammatory process plus the loss of bone, they are responsible for the cystic growth, which is commonly observed in cherubism. So now let's discuss about the clinical description of the condition cherubism. Cherubism, as I have already mentioned, it is a hereditary disorder. So it means it is inherited as an autosomal dominant trait from one generation to the next generation. So normally at birth there are no any signs of cherubism present. So it means even the affected children, it appear absolutely normal at birth. So it means we cannot truly diagnose the condition cherubism in newly born infants just by clinical and radiographic examination. So as the child grows, the signs and symptoms of cherubism slowly appear. So normally the swelling of jaw appear between 14 months to 3 years of age. Now after that, the lesion, it assumes rapid increase in size until the age of 7 to 8 years. Then the lesion either remain unchanged or it increases slowly until the age of puberty. Normally around the age of puberty, the condition, it begins to improve and the lesion, it tends to regress. However, the condition for regression is still unknown. Normally it is believed that the increase in plasma concentration of sex steroids like testosterone and estrogen, they are believed to be responsible for the reduction in osteoclast activity, and they are responsible for the regression of facial deformity around the age of puberty. So now by 30 years, the lesion, it remains undetectable. So in some people, the condition is so mild that it may not be detectable. So while in other cases, the condition may be severe enough to cause various problems with vision, breathing, speech and swallowing. So here the jaw lesions, they are more common on mandible as compared to maxilla. So in mandible, the lesions tend to occur more commonly in the region of angle and ascending ramus of mandible, while in maxilla, the lesions, they are more common in maxillary tuberosity region. So these lesions, they are usually painless and symmetric and are formed on palpation. So here the submandibular and cervical lymph nodes are enlarged, which usually contributes to the fullness of face in the affected individuals. So as the lesion expand, the protuberant masses infiltrate the orbital floor and cause characteristic upward tilting of eyes, exposing the sclera below the iris. So this gives eye to have an appearance to the individuals. So it is usually the late manifestation in cherubism, which usually occurs in extensive maxillary involvement. So here the respiratory obstruction is usually occasional and manifests as upper airway obstruction, which is usually caused by backward displacement of tongue in the oral cavity. So this obstruction usually leads to mouth breathing habit, snoring and obstructive sleep apnea in children. So now moving on to the oral manifestation of the condition cherubism. So we all know the cherubism is a fibrosis lesion of jaw. So it means it will be severely hampering the growth of teeth in the respective jaw in which the lesion is present. So, likewise, it causes the premature or early exfoliation of deciduous teeth and delayed eruption of permanent teeth. So, as the cystic lesion it grows and it expands, it usually results in displacement of teeth in the oral cavity and resulting in misalignment or transposition or rotation of teeth resulting in malocclusion. Furthermore, it also causes the agenesis of second and third molars in the oral cavity and resorption of roots of the existing teeth.